Hey, I'm Andy, and welcome to Rock, Roll, and Red Plaid. My friend Josh Klein is our first guest. I've known Josh for a very long time, and as you can tell, we have no problems just making jokes or shooting the breeze or doing anything musically related at all. I First of all, I wanted to say, what a fantastical musical Nintendo space you got there.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we got. I'll give you a little tour. Hold
Oh,
on.
he's portable. Look at
I
this.
can
Oh
switch the
man.
camera. So we got guitar corner. This is just
Mm-hmm.
like the main axis, and then
Mm-hmm.
we have like a little production area. I have a ukulele here at the moment because I was just doing a ukulele lesson. But I got my ear training book here for lessons. I got this is an amp, little amp. I'm gonna use my ukulele like a laser pointer. There's like a little amp, and then I have dry erase markers because I was writing some stuff. But then underneath that is like keyboards and production stuff. And then here there's you.
Oh gosh.
You
Oh.
little interface situation and like a bunch of cables. And I like to keep this. It's just
Ooh.
a Squire guitar neck. I like to keep it hanging so I can visualize ideas. Just like when I'm
Wow,
doing
I
random
like the
crap.
way you think. Hey, that's good.
Yeah, you can just like visualize stuff. And then it's a little sloppy because I was repairing some things, but we got amps corner,
Mm-hmm.
which I've kind of minimized because of this bad boy right here. I love the HX Stomp.
Mm.
It's got just like it has all of the amps. It's
Yeah.
like awesome.
It's like how many amps? Yes, all of them.
Yeah. Which one you want? You want Brian May sound, or you want like Nuno?
Oh
So
man.
and then we got
Yes, all of them.
the drum set and some more
Gosh.
guitars. Just because you always need more guitars.
As you do.
Yeah. So that's my
Man.
little corner. That's my
and
area.
and all the while with the semi Mario themed thing there.
I have to keep it in there, and I mean, I think how my wife and I met. We met at a party.
No, actually.
Just like college party or whatever, and it was like I think we had the Smash Bag out, which was it was a backpack that we used to bring around with a GameCube in it and Smash
Mm-hmm.
Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
So, and you could just hook it up to whatever TV was at the house. So we had the Smash Bag around, and then I started talking to her because my friends were all into that, but like I was way more into like Mario Kart than I was into Smash. But like my friends had the Smash Bag, so like that's what I rolled with at the time. But she was like, we play kart at my dorm. And I'm like, I need to know you better so that we can do that. And it started with Mario Kart tournaments, and then just like one night we're in the middle of one and holding hands, and that was it.
And there it is. Yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
Oh man.
So I always have
Yes.
appreciation, for my
Yes.
friends. Yeah.
Oh, most certainly. Have you ever heard he's a YouTuber, Stevie T, who did the Mario Brothers gent in a gent
No, but that sounds fun.
and he somehow got the character Mario to kind of get going. I don't know how he did it, but
there's got to be some control. Yeah, there's a way. Which version of Mario is it? Do you know? I bet I could.
An older one for sure. That's not.
Is it like
yes
this guy that I have over here?
Yeah, that's why it reminded me of
So it's the 8-bit one. You can I think you can definitely do it with like a fast run and a duck motion, like right at the same time, and then you freeze it and sample it, right?
Yeah. I think that's what he did.
I think
I'll send it to you. Send it to you. You got to see it.
I'm gonna be like on my old school Mario. Like, can I
get him to do the crab core stance?
Right. Sick.
Oh my
cool.
gosh.
So this is season 2.
This is episode one of season 2. Yeah.
Season 2 opener. Oh man, I've been liking that spot as the opener.
I gotta say, and for those who will be watching, like, how do these guys like just click in and them? Like, well, we have known each other. Frame of reference: I met you when I was 13. I'm gonna be 30 in April.
Were you
So
13 at the time? I was gonna say that it was a young Andrew. Yeah.
Not much,
and a much younger Josh. It was a much younger Josh.
There was perhaps even a clean-shaven Josh. I can't. I'm not.
It was a pre-Harry Dudini. Yeah.
Harry Dudini. Perhaps, but you always. Do you still have the PRS, that orange McCarty? Old reliable.
Yes, sir. And I don't know if you noticed, but it looks different now.
You have it refinished?
Yeah. So what was happening? I don't know if I have a picture anywhere, but there was like some white colorings starting to come through. It was from just being in the sun all the time, playing at music festivals and stuff.
Sure.
And so I took it to my luthier. It was having like an intonation issue also. Like it'd been years since I had set up. And when I moved to PA, I found a really great luthier, and then he moved to like North Carolina. So then I didn't have like anybody that I trusted. So I was just doing self setups for a long time, which is like pretty good, but like on an instrument like a PRS, I don't know it like how I know how to set up like a Fender Strat. You know what I mean? Right. It's just a different animal. You know what I mean? So I was having this like buzzing and intonation issue I couldn't solve. And I took it to Pete, who's my luthier now, who built this.
Oh, I seen that.
Yeah.
Oh man,
this is my baby now.
But how's the P90 in the neck? How's that?
It's awesome. Well, so first of all, he calls it an L90 because it's a little bit special. It does something a little bit different. And
did he wind it, or was that one of his?
He wound it, and also I don't know if you can see it from here, but like the cover, he carved it. Like that's all hand carved wood, like every piece of this other than the hardware.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, and he wound all the bobbins. He did all of that in his shop. But yeah, the special part about those pickups is that he's got kind of like a mid shifting option. So it's like a beautiful neck pickup P90 when you want it to be. But then when you like hit the mid shift, it just like does a totally different thing. It's got a completely different voice.
To boost,
so it's an L90.
To boost the mids or scoop them, or
it boosts them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you know how I feel about boosting mids. Like, excuse me, about scooping mids.
Yeah, no, scooping, no. And I have a rat for scooping mids if I feel it. But that one boosts them. And it's funny because it's like one of those things when I listen to it by itself, I'm like, why is it so MIDI? You know what I mean?
Right.
But then when you turn that on in a band situation, it's like play it at low volume and it just cuts through everything. All those tonal options. And for me, like when I record, like now I do the HX Stomp Direct, but I have this sweet cabinet. Which
I saw that.
So what this is, the box, it's an old J Tercer bass amp.
Okay.
And one day at practice, I was like, it's not loud enough. And I just like cranked everything and blew the speaker straight out of it.
There you go.
So, I me being who I am, I'm like, it looks too cool. I can't get rid of it. But then also was kind of afraid to take it apart because like I don't do that, and I didn't.
Yeah, neither do I. No.
All of that. So it sat in the basement with me wondering what the heck to do with it for like 15 years or something like that. And one day, my amp guy, he built this one. Well, he didn't.
Yeah.
He bought it as a Taurus, which is what it says on it, and then he took it apart and rewired it to basically be kind of like a Fender Princeton clone kind of a situation. Yeah, awesome amp.
Yeah.
It's a Princeton reverb with no reverb and heavy channel.
There's got to be a name, like an actual name for that. something. I don't know.
I mean, I'm just going around telling people it's a Taurus stomp head 4,
There it
but
is.
my
Yeah.
guy did something to this one. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, there's always that legend of like when who's the guy who worked at Marshall for all those years?
was it Kramer, Jimmy's guy, or somebody else?
No, Jose something. He was Eddie Van Halen's guy.
Oh, okay.
And he did those weird mods like that are like the stuff of legend. And
Right. And Van
um,
Halen's touring rig has been going around the pedal board groups, and I'm like, I can't even fathom, because
I
he's talking about special gear in there. You know what I mean? He's like, this, oh yeah, this is I guess the Jose wired head
yes,
that
yeah.
he's using, and then it's going through these 25150s, but also behind the curtain, this is also happening.
Oh
You know,
gosh. You know what? I bet if Eddie was still here with us, he'd be like, "Why do you care?"
yeah, exactly. He's like, Line 6 did a perfect clone of that, right?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, I might have to get a question in.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do
I
this.
think you have held the
Actual
record.
interview time.
You have held the record for going long enough without even one question prompting it. Like the Robin Williams of my podcast.
Well, it just feels organic talking to you. You know what I mean?
Thank
just
you.
walk down memory lane.
Too
here.
much the same. Where did your love for the funk come from? Because like I know that's come so naturally to you. Like it must have just been. It's in your DNA. You know, where did that come from for you?
That goes way back. So I remember my dad talking to me about some funk bands, and I wouldn't really be that interested. And I'd be like, yeah, play Skinnerd. You know what I mean? Give me, I'm the guy that yells Freebird at the show. And I'm also the guy that will play Freebird if you yell Freebird at the show and I'm on the stage. Even if the band doesn't know it, I'll figure out a way to slip it in. But that said, actually, somebody asked us, what's your band Mike Frankenfred sound like? I'm like, it's like if every song was Free Bird, that's us.
Nice.
Anyways, back to the funk here. But yeah, that's kind of like where I started my life, was like big kind of like honky tonk guitar fan. Danny Gatton was introduced to me early. You know, like a lot of these like kind of like more southern, but just like more like super ripping players. You know what I mean? Were where it all started. And then I remember like ska and punk hit real big when I was in like 7th grade, right? So I started like a little ska punk band with my friends, and then I ended up playing with this one guy, Alex McBride. Shout out Alex if you're out there. And he was our drummer, and he'd be like, we got to go for a car ride and listen to this. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And he starts playing Tower Power and James Brown and just like classic funky stuff. You know what I mean? Like not really any deep cuts by all means, but like, you know, like Earth, Wind and Fire, Stevie, you know, like he's just
stuff you should know.
Right. Just the basics, like, yo, here's like, we need to listen to this. You need to know this. You know what I mean? And at that point, I don't think I really like actually even really tried to learn it, other than James Brown. There was like James Brown, I went kind of deep on some of those guitar parts because they were just I don't know what it was about that in particular, but like that hooked me. You know what I mean? So like trying to get some of those parts down, I was like, yeah, deep in it. But the rest of it, it was just like I would listen to it and then we would play, and I'd try to just be inspired by it and try to like use whatever I knew from like honky tonk stuff and like ska and punk stuff, all of those chord shapes or techniques or whatever that I was using for that, to just try and mimic like this other stuff that we heard. So it was basically like playing like ska and punk, but like using rhythms from other stuff that I heard. You know what I mean? So that's where it started for me. And then just down the line, you start picking apart parts and you start getting deeper with like the cuts that you listen to. and you start kind of like transcribing is a big part of it. You know what I mean? Like you go like, okay, like what's Cornell Dupree playing with stuff here? You know what I mean? You go like what is happening? You know what I mean? And when you start to learn some of those things, then it all starts to kind of become apparent, like, oh, like funk has these specific things that kind of traditionally make it funk. So if I do that and then also just do whatever else I do that's my voice, then like I can be funky like everybody else, you know. So it came to that for me, like there's some techniques, you know what I mean, and style to it, you know what I mean. Like that's the other part of it, is like I love the style, you know what I mean. Like I think like the look is cool, the way they present, the way they just come out and like bam, you're dancing, you know what I mean. It's just like all of that like resonated with me. And probably like as a Jewish guy, like it just like like some of that stuff came into my house and it was just like, okay, yeah, here we are.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like I get that. I get that. I think I get that.
Yeah, it's like, you know what it is like we got Dave Chappelle did the bit about white people dancing, you know what it was? And it was like
it's not a thing we can do.
Yeah, like all that other stuff, like Van Halen didn't get me dancing, you know what I mean? But like,
although
it got me headbanging, it got me like jumping, you know, things like that.
Right.
But like funk like made me like kind of like bob my head and like get the shoulder kind of happening, and then like you know, like that.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw something out. I'm gonna throw something out your way about the semi unsung genius of David Lee Roth, and I'll put it that way because it was his apparently doing to bring in funk and black music influences into what the Van Halen brothers were listening to. Would you be your Sabbaths, your Led Zeppelins, your Cream, whatever else, and everybody, you know, I guess back then thought of David Lee as a mimbo, I suppose, a male bimbo, I suppose.
Yeah, right.
Which, yes, but also he's secretly more intellectual than some people may realize, because he started talking about, he says, all of our songs are between this and this BPM, because any faster, people would start dancing too fast and spill their drinks.
Oh, yeah.
That's some science right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there's like something to that too, where I was listening, and Rick Beato just said this on his but like Rick. If you listen chronologically to Van Halen, Eddie's tone gets more and more clean. There's less and less distortion to it, more amplifier, more saturation from the amplifier for sure, but it's like less pedals and more just straight guitar to amp tones. And it's like the distortion level is like, in the beginning it's at 10, but like by the end it's maybe like 4 or 5. Like he's cleaning it up a lot so that you can hear the intricacy of what he's doing, really. But also the dance music thing kind of also resonates with that, because if you're too heavy, like how are people going to dance to it? You can still have all that style.
Off the first album, Jamie's Crying, that straight is the way they all described it, was like rumba. You see the lights coming on, right?
Yeah.
And then Dance the Night Away, that middle break is cha-cha.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's little bits in there, like that's a pulling, like you did with the ska and the punk and funk and everything else, and Skinnerd and everything, you know, and you pull from all those different, you know, neighborhoods. And you put them all into the soup.
Yeah, it's like kind of like, you know what, I'll bring it back to the gamer thing, because I always have this talk with people. They're like, well, like, how do you play this versus how do you play this? And it's like, well, everything is all notes, right? Everything is all notes, right? So like, it's kind of like this, like you want to build a house, right? and maybe this room has this theme and this other room has this theme, and there's doorways between. You can just walk back and forth between the rooms if you want. You know what I mean? It's all just a little bit about like what you like and like what you listen to. You know what I mean? And the more things you listen to, the more rooms you can have in your house. You know what I mean? And if you spend time to cultivate like a big mass of different kinds of music from different places and different parts of the world, you'll find that you can build a giant mansion of this, like with all these different rooms, and you can just kind of like look on everything, and it can be like an open world. Or you know, I was saying gaming and then I went into a house, but like kind of like if you think about GTA, right? Like you start with this like one little location, and then the more places you visit, the bigger your map kind of expands, and you can just go like all these places. You know, there's no rules, you just drive back and forth. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of the same thing. It's just an open world gaming situation. But like if you don't ever walk out of the first circle, the bubble always stays small. You know what I mean?
I mean, going through just in the last calendar year, who I've gotten to see live, every single song they did was different than the last. Like just down the line here, I saw Satriani about a year ago again, and then I got to see Wolfgang Van Halen with his new project there. I got to see Alter Bridge on the same night, actually. Wolfgang was opening for them. And then I saw Queen at the Garden about a month ago. And as
what's
legendary,
Queen like these days? Is it Brian May stuff? Like who's
Brian May and Roger Taylor are the core two.
Okay.
And they have Adam Lambert singing, who crushed it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the best part about that, I'd say, is that he's not Freddie, but he knows.
Yeah.
And that's really cool, because he's like, I'm here to serve a purpose, you know?
Yeah.
And he does.
And that's a great attitude to have about it too. Is like, I'm not gonna even try to be Freddie, but these songs, we all connect.
Celebration of the songs, really.
Celebrate it. Yeah.
When you used to do prepared guitar, I remember you put it was like a corkscrew and this. Yeah.
Hold on, I got.
Oh, here we go. He's running to get it.
I have the kit.
I haven't busted
this out in a while, but it's still here.
Now see to the general public, that looks like just your average toolkit. But
this just looks like a bunch of junk too. There's not even tools in there. Like, you know what I mean? It's
stuff.
Bands and cool. That's where that capo went.
Well, now you know. You're welcome.
Now I know. Yeah. Cool.
But my question being is that I remember in one of those ridiculously sweaty places in that building we were in, you know, the school there, in the middle of those summers, you started doing, and I remember I was talking to someone else, and you started playing this stuff over here, and wouldn't you know, I lost interest in what the other person was saying. And my ears kind of went up, but like almost like I don't know, like a dog who heard a dog whistle or something.
Yeah.
And I started kind of coming around with my eye crooked, and I just remember you saying, "Oh, you know, when Andrew thinks it's cool, you know something's up." Like, oh, thanks, but I don't know about that. But
oh yeah, no, it's true though. Yeah.
Thank you.
I knew how to read the room, you know.
Yeah.
I must have did something good. Andrew came.
It was where is it? Where does that come from? Like, where do you think of stuff like that?
That is specifically a nod to Tronzo, Dave Tronzo, who was one of my teachers. Probably not at that time, but like shortly before that time, I would say.
So 07, 08.
Yeah, so Tronzo kind of turned me onto the whole prepared guitar thing. Now, prepared guitar, though, it comes from prepared piano, which was a John Cage thing. So you know about John Cage?
I do not actually. Inform me.
John was one of our modern classical geniuses. And he's one of the ones that, like any music student, when you go study music history, when you get to the modern period, like John Cage is in the group of composers that you study. And he had kind of like a couple of phases that he went through in his musicianship. One was like serialism, which is like the act of trying to write random sounding music. He would use like die to use like the like a 20-sided die, and each number would either represent like a note grouping or rhythm, and then he would roll the die and write
I'm
down.
such an idiot. I'm thinking you're thinking of like dye on a shirt, like dyeing a shirt. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
you're painting
like a gaming die, you know what I mean?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, like
now I know. Now
roll
I
the
know.
dice,
Okay.
if you will.
Right. Gotcha.
Sorry,
roll
we
the
have
dice.
a joke. That was a band song for one year, and our guy actually rolled some dice. But
there you go.
John Cage would roll dice and actually write music with it. And so that was like one phase of his work. And then another one was just kind of like recording found sounds and things like that and using those. There was one famous piece of his where he would have 3 radios on the stage, and you'd have to tune the radios to certain stations to get the performance. But here's the catch. You play it in a different city, you got different radio stations, right? So every time you play the piece, it's different because what's playing on the air is different. And it also depends on the time of day and, you know, all of that stuff. So he would write this wild music that was like written for weird stuff like that. So this other phase, though, is prepared piano music, which is essentially you get inside of the piano where the strings are and you put like pencil erasers, nuts, bolts, anything you can find between the strings. And then when you strike the string, it makes like a different kind of a sound. It's like percussive. So he called that prepared piano. You were preparing the piano for whatever piece of music you were going to play. So Tronzo took that, inspired as a guitar player, and just said, I can do that on a guitar. Right. So then when I started studying with him, I started as like studying slide guitar with him. And this is still to this day why I prefer the chrome slide as opposed to like a lot of guys love the glass slide. And, you know, I have one because it has a certain sound, but like chrome, he taught me chrome is a much more direct, maybe harsher sound, but like if you can control it, you can coax a little bit more out of it.
Because it's a metal object on metal strings.
Right. Yeah. There's a different kind of a resonance there. It's not as warm as glass.
The reason I have my glass slide is because flares out at the bottom, and I have really big hands, so I need to.
So it fits.
Yes, and only on this finger too. It's got to be the ring finger. So
and that's funny too, because like my glass side, like I use the bottle.
The bottles, like, salt like, shaker,
right. And that totally doesn't fit, so I have to like use a different finger to play glass slide. So I find myself playing different stuff, but like that's part of it, right? That's all part of playing guitar. Like do things to your guitars so that they make different noises, and then figure out what those are and which ones you like, and then that determines your voice. You know.
Yeah, that Stick Bottle song, Things We Do, which I still bump out every now and again. Sometimes it sounds like Holy Rollers, like you're sneaking around somewhere.
Tons of that chrome slide on that.
There you go. Things to plug. What do you have to plug?
So many things. So first,
take your time. Hurry up. No.
First thing,
sorry.
What do we got? First thing is I just dropped a record. Oops, All Guitars. It is a modern solo guitar record. So as a guy that's always been into like jazz and all that thing, I've been fascinated by solo guitar players. Modern guys, I love like Bill Frisell playing solo, and like Julian Lage. For old school stuff like Joe Pass, you know, Jim Hall, like all Pat Metheny, you know, like all of these solo works that they have, like that is just a guitar in the room. Like I love that. And I've done a couple of like, I'd call them maybe more demos, you know what I mean? Just like, oh, here's some jazz standards and I'm playing solo or whatever. But for me, like, I feel like a lot of that stuff, I'm just kind of nodding to my heroes on that. It's not really innovating as much as I'd like to. So I had this idea, like, what if there was just a record that was like kind of like, I don't know, I don't want to call it pop or like anything or funk even necessarily, because while it has elements of that, it's not that, because it's still a solo guitar record and none of those records are pop records.
No.
So it is a guitar record still,
Yeah.
and a solo guitar record, but in the sense that there's just no other instruments on there. So there are drum sounds, there are bass sounds, there are synthy sounds, there are electronic sounds, there are effected sounds, but every sound originates from a guitar. So except for one track, because my friend Nav and I have been working, and he's an amazing singer, so I let him take up the space of one track. I allowed him
One track.
one vocal track on the whole record, but everything else, yeah, like if you look at multi-track recordings, you know, like having 18 or 20 tracks isn't really that much these days, you know what I mean? But every one of these is, you know, layered like that with different instruments, but those different instruments are guitar, and then just one of them is vocal track on the whole record.
Wow.
So that's the new one. It's called Oops All Guitars. And
Great
it
name.
really wasn't that much of a mistake on my end. Somebody said no more guitars, and I heard no more guitars, and I did it. Yeah,
there it is. That's kind of like when I
Oops All Guitars. Yeah.
Oops All Guitars. That kind of reminds me. I did a record a few years ago during quarantine where all the electric guitar parts were on my one Red Ibanez. It's like, how much can you get out of one instrument?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that's actually what I did. I don't know if I can share here, but can you see my mouse?
Look at that. It's even your hat there.
Oops All Guitars. Yeah, she even got my hat. Tara is the artist on this. She's amazing. But this blue guitar down here.
Oh, I remember that one.
That's the one. And the reason that I gave it back is because he was making the pink one for me. Yeah, so this is kind of where he did the most of that. And then towards the edges there's a little less, but you can see the white kind of gets
I like it though. That's like the flame maple.
It lightens it up. It makes the top sing, because you really couldn't see any of the flame work on there. Well, I'm probably plugging things too slowly, but that's the record. Oops All Guitars. You're going to be able to get that. I'm actually just finishing it right now, but I'm transitioning my websites. So I had musicmakerlessons.com going for a long time. That is now transitioning into joshkguitar.com, so that I can actually sell some of my music and stuff too. So if you check out joshkguitar.com, you can go there and find links for that and all my old music and everything too. Then, all right, so next thing to plug, I'm in a documentary called Heirloom Guitar. It is streaming on a bunch of platforms, but the one that I saw where it's free is Tubi, Tubi.
Okay.
And it's like kind of right in the beginning. So like, check it out. There I am. I'm playing one of my new songs from the record on the documentary.
Very cool.
Playing Dragon Dance on there. But I also get to play a bunch of really, really cool historical Martin guitar instruments. So
I saw you post something a while back. I'm like, I wonder what that's, or is he just really lucky, or is there something going on there?
I mean, I am just really lucky. That's how that happened. And shout out to one of my students, Ramin, for setting that up, because he works at the factory.
Sure.
We had done some lessons, and he was like, "You would be great for this if you're interested." And I'm like, "I mean, do you know who you're talking to?" Yes, I'm yes. So yeah, we made it. We were able to make that happen, and I got to go play a bunch of those guitars. On that day, I was able to play the oldest acoustic guitar in existence, which is still playable.
Really?
Yeah.
What year?
1826, I want to say. Yeah, if you watch the documentary,
that is very close to 200 years old.
Yeah, very, very old instrument, and it's like got like kind of a violin kind of a vibe to it, because A lot of the builders didn't really like, they were just dabbling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There were lutes and there were like introduction to parlor guitars, you know what I mean? So
I
yeah,
don't
the
mean
first
I,
Martins are really, really primitive, and similar to violins because he was a violin maker.
I don't know if you've seen the meme where the two guys are in prison, like in next to each other, and the big guy says to the skinny guy, "What are you in for?" And the skinny guy says, "I put EMGs in a 58 Les Paul," and the guy just slides away. A real spit take is very rare,
Never.
Josh.
Yeah, I've never seen that one, but very good.
And
Very
he's just
good.
like sacrilege. That's
the one,
just what
the
that
one
made
that
me
I
think of.
just saw, the one that I just saw was what's the difference between oh goodness, what was it? What's the difference between a banjo and a piece of trash?
Oh no.
You don't cry when you run over the banjo.
Oh. Zing.
Zing a zing. All right.
What's the I have to say this to my drummer friend. I told this once to the drummer in SS Bats. I told this to him once. I said, what's the difference
and then
between
we broke up. No, sorry.
yeah, no, yeah, you know, again. What's the difference between a drum machine and a real drummer? You only have to punch the information in the drum machine once.
Oh God.
And he's just like,
I quit.
Oh man.
Yeah, that day I got to play some really, really cool guitars, and they highlight some of them in the video, but what they didn't show that I'm like the most geeked out over was like I got to play Kurt Cobain's guitar from Unplugged.
No way.
They let me play that guitar, and I of course played "Smelled Like Teen Spirit" on it.
As you do,
because you have to, yeah.
You have to.
But yeah, that was like the coolest one. Joni Mitchell's guitar I got to play that day, and
really?
I didn't get to touch it, but I got to look at and be in the same room as Trigger, Willie Nelson's guitar.
He separates himself from that thing.
So it is the way they described it to me, and the reason I wasn't allowed to touch it is because it's constantly breaking. It's because that hole that he's worn in it, right?
Yeah.
It's in a state where it's constantly breaking. So anytime he's between tours, it lives at Martin Guitar Factory in their just treated room,
stitch it together,
make sure that it just doesn't break the whole time that it's there.
My gosh.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And he has a special Martin guitar tech that goes on the road with it too. That makes sense? Yeah.
Just constantly.
Because it's just breaking. Yeah, I mean it will stay alive forever, but or at least as long as Willie will.
That's like
but yeah, it's just a delicate situation, that guitar. Yeah. So nobody touches it except for the guitar tech and Willie.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Do you have any nightmare gigs?
Nightmare? I think the worst one. Man, it's weird because there's so many different kinds of nightmare situations. This is for anybody who's having a wedding. Okay, I was in the wedding band. Father-daughter dances, mother-son dances. Keep the romance out of the lyrics. Okay, like that's all it is. We had to play this one father-daughter dance, and it was like very overtly sexual.
Oh no.
And it was the most uncomfortable thing I've ever done in my life, but I had to sit there. Yay, congratulations. And yeah, I'm gonna keep playing this song that you requested because you're paying us to do it. But,
just let us get out of here, man.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, can we bring a piece of cake? Give me the cake.
Yeah, I think I turned my back because I didn't want to be on video about it. You know what I mean? Get me out of here. And then as soon as the song was over, it was like food break. So I ran, you know?
Yeah.
Keep all that nuance out of your wedding songs, mothers.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That should be a given, you know.
It should be, but you know, like here I am in 2023 saying it. perfect.
Do it.
Some guitar
Oh man. Oh my goodness. That'll be the comic relief. All right. Well, I think we got it. This has been Rock Roll Red Plaid. For more of my original content, visit my website, www.andyconley.com.